We come down from Truckee, surfing against that sun as if off a great wave, but in the wrong direction. Certainly the wave is frozen, or just moving so slowly that no one can know if you've done it though. You know the feeling, it's all downhill from here, love. The hard part is over, the gold is in sight, El Dorado, end of scene 1.
Make camp in bedrooms of friends, just until we find a place of our own, a 3-year-old car and a U-Haul loaded with junk. Another caravan has seen America, end of scene 2. It's getting dark now, let's jump in the car and run over and look at the place. This is where we're going to work. This is where we're going to live. Let's drive over and look at it quick. Big mistake, we should have come in the daytime. We should have come on a weekday. I didn't get this till later, smack into it. Worst time of day, worst day of the year, we drove smack into it. Leftover dreams, back gate at the college. Remember, the back gate part. Later, they closed it forever. It was, how shall I say this? It was too dangerous.
The layout is stupidly simple, an iron gate and a road that goes straight ahead, slightly uphill and to the right.
We passed the dead fountain and the shingled names.
We are into the trees, a quaint wooded area.
About 200 yards, the whole thing.
Then you come out in the campus. A stop sign across street, a strong smell. Eucalyptus came in from the Far East by mistake.
I can't even describe how dumb this is.
On the right there's a square building in shadows. On the left and just behind is Faculty Village.
So-called how nice, hidden in trees.
We pass because it's hidden seeing. Now here's the hard part. Pause, something happened here once and it is still here. We just drove through it, scared to the teeth.
Ed's dog's whining, nobody says a word.
The new world, and we're gonna work here.
Starting tomorrow in the presence of this thing.
My heart turns to stone. I have become one of those explorers long gone now. Led as men and women through all kinds of dangers, laughing drugs to El Dorado. Then suddenly, you're in the heart of it. Before you know that it's happened, you are there with the common knowledge that you are in trouble. MSN and I are in trouble. This place is haunted, end of scene 3. Work late in the studio, very end of the building. I don't like this building at all. Somehow the layering is blurred. Even now I couldn't tell you. After 1,000 times up and down, whether the studio is floor 2 or 3. The confusion is right there, a part of it. To explain, I'll tell a story, naturally. Medical students in turn into ideas. I know this. 6 months in the private skin, so-called. You go around with Trapper John M.D. Notebook ready, deciding what could possibly be wrong with people who are simply dying in bed. Then 6 months in the public skin, so-called. Emergency entrance, first floor. Pulls off the tiles to get another guy just came in without an arm. The skin is the so-called soul. In other words, that thing you read about them looking for centuries is right there in front of you to see. The soul, it's not a bag you're inside of. You knew that, of course. It follows the body, keeping some distance, and it is indifferent. All knowledge comes through it. It transmits, receives, and reveals a flaw in the structure. The skin will reveal it, and a flaw in the structure. The skin can't protect it, and it follows from this like 1 and 2 equals 3. A break in the skin lets in spirits. I'll say it again, a break in the skin lets in spirits. Segue from scene 4 to 5, 4 will come back. I go to the dentist week after week after week. The bad genes have finally caught up with me. I forgot to say this is years later. The 4 of us hopelessly lost from each other. I live in a shitty apartment. Near to the back gate, unfortunately. Now I have to cross that place on foot. When I have the courage that comes and goes to pick up bread and some vodka for dinner. Back at the shitty apartment alone. But I have learned something now to explain. When the skin is violated, the spirits come visiting. I'll say it again, the spirits come visiting. You go to a dentist, he cuts a hole in you. That night and until it heals, the spirits come visiting. I can't say it in a way that makes it sound civilized. It's something you wouldn't notice, maybe. If the skin violations were infrequent, you mostly forget in between times. But when the schedule gets heavy, when the tearing and the healing overlap, and you are aware of the holes in you, the condition there, and that's when you learn it, the spirits come visiting, and you start paying attention to where you have chosen to live. Segue back to scene 4, working late in the studio.
The building itself scares the shit out of me. It was designed to have holes in it. Jesus designed to be violated. Daytimes, you can't tell daytimes. It is as beautiful as an old woman in makeup. Nighttimes, watch out in my office, oh Jesus,
A place to keep things you don't want at home.
It's on the far other end of the building. Also, I don't know what floor it's on. 10 years and I don't know what floor it's on. Where I keep stuffs I work with so as to unclutter the studio, to make room for people who don't have an office.
Between studio and office there are 2 ways to get there at, say, 3 in the morning. One way is down outside, across and up. That's a long walk at, say, 3 in the morning. The other is straight through the building, straight through the back of the concert hall, across the very back row. Hope the exit sign is working.
This night in question, I made 4 trips, each one a little more weird than the last. Full-grown man, each more weird than the last.
Finally, I can't do it. I have to admit, I'm afraid. I'm afraid to go through there.
That's the only way I can say it.
I am afraid to go through there.
Not afraid of the dark, not afraid of the silence, just afraid. End of scene 4, El Dorado scene 5. I have to get out of the shitty apartment. It's starting to follow me home.
To finish up with scene 5, everything is different. Broken change, however you want to think about it. The 4 of us who came through the back 8 years ago, 40 miles away. M is trying to survive.
I don't know where S is, living on the street, I guess, waiting for a broken heart to mend. I see N almost every day, but I know he strains to keep trusting me. Something has happened that nobody understands.
The dog is dead, of course, even the red car is gone. It started to be accident prone. F says it's just cosmetic. I say everything's cosmetic. It's gotta go. I pay a guy to take it.
So for the first time in my life, I walk or wake a bus. If the distance is too great, this is scene 5. In order to get something to take home at night, vodka and a loaf of bread, I have to walk through the place.
I mean the place between the building on the right, at the cross street and the village so-called, hidden in the trees, and that's the problem. Something happened here once and it's still here, except that now it follows me home at night. It hangs around, vodka, bread, vegetables, lots of soy sauce.
Read a lot of Velikovsky, he's onto something. Everybody hates him, even his detractors. Science gone bananas in the academy.
Or else he couldn't write that well, his detractors write like high school seniors editing the paper.
He writes ideas, fuck your approval, that has its charms.
And besides, you never know when a colleague might need an idea for an opera. Velikovsky and that other guy Einstein lived next door to each other. I bet I couldn't tell them apart. A pariah and a Brahmin equally contagious.
How's the wife and kids, Emmanuel? Pretty good, Albert. How's the dog? What'd you hear from science? Nothing much, I think it's dead.
Gotcha about technology, it'll be the death of us, I think. Sorry about that, Avon, that's okay, it wasn't your fault. Besides, the circle's only half completed.
Violence at twilight, 12 guys arguing with Moses. What was that? Oh shit, it's still here. It followed me home again.
It prowls around the bedroom.
I fall asleep in the plastic chair. End of scene 5. This is difficult terrain, hillbilly madness. Middle-aged man lives alone in a shit apartment.
Across the courtyard, a woman with an artificial larynx. Down below, the neighbor has a bar self-standing, and he plays disco records until late hours.
Donna Summer and Al Green, without the words, just strong beats. End of scene 6. This one's for Carl. Welcome to El Dorado. A man is seated at his desk. Looking over his shoulder, we see the telephone cradled to his ear. He's calling someone.
It rings on the other end. Answer. Hello, Scorpio. This is Phone Future. Today's another big one. You might get killed. Saved toward a big project or big investment.
Take care on short-term gratifiers. Take care on instant pleasure, etc. He mocks the phone voice. We see him apply something to his teeth or gums.
We look down on a plate of cocaine, tongue-timed so you don't go out the window. Enter his secretary, a male. The senators are here, Don, the tour is ready.
Okay, I'll be there in a minute. End of scene 7. The laboratory doesn't show you what it does. Cleanliness is next to godliness, so everything is clean. Science without test tubes, so nobody's dissecting rats here. Notice how pale and how green the light is. Notice too how comfortable senators behave in the expensive leather chairs.
Notice how closely they pay attention. Notice how the temperature of the coffee is exactly right. Notice
That there are no women, this is a secret meeting. Don makes a few casual remarks. Others have been there, nothing formal, of course. We have just finished the preliminary stage. The reports are very encouraging, though this is very different from what has gone before. One could call it, except for the poetry, another realm. We don't know in any way what it could be good for. What is proposed is simply that we follow through. In the circumstances, we should expect no publicity to speak of. We could call it trivial for the moment. Who knows, maybe it will come to nothing. Possibly I will not come back, etc. A senator philosophizes on the value of uncommitted research. End of scene 8. Don and his secretary discuss the demonstration tour. Very successful. Research will continue. Support came in the form of handshakes. Don is off tomorrow on a well-deserved vacation. Southwest cars towards sightseeing, rock hunting, family rest. He might not come back. End of scene 9.
Don considers his options while Linda's in the bathroom. This kind of research is full of problems. Social.
You can see what you are seeing until afterward. The delay effect in what is called understanding. So we watch sports.
Try to get the idea, stop thinking old style, to stop thinking hopefully the term is used right at all. Stop thinking for instance and insert in the form of a joke the requirements to recount the story, tell what happened, make it interesting. Imagine here an old school laboratory. There's of course the anomaly that is unsolvable. When someone comes up with the answer, it's the Nobel Prize. I'll make it short, the British deny any practice of oral sex. Researchers have thrown themselves against the rocks of intimacy since Kinty before, trying to crack the story. The National Enquirer offers a fortune for the answer. Pardon me, I mean between the sexes. This fact, if it could be called that from Elizabeth, Australia, until approximately Margaret Thatcher, nobody ever took a bath. The evidence is pretty solid, coinciding with what they deny is made for a stock answer in 3 parts. In order to get a Nobel Prize, you have to get bi-stock answers, which are accompanied by stock characters. For instance, imagine the smartest guy at Harvard. He was raised on Portnoy's complaint. You mention this whole problem to him. This is what you get. 1. Obviously, they're lying. That shouldn't surprise you. The British, as distinct from the Irish, but like the Scots, almost unique among the cultures of the world. We can't get into name-calling here. Have made a national culture famous everywhere based on deceit. Yeah, but it's all over. Nobody cares, of course. God doesn't care. Everybody down here knows it, so there's no problem. But it is amazing. Who would have thought it? Who else would have invented theater? Remember that in many cultures around the world, John Le Carré is inconceivable, very British. 2. Who gives a shit? 3. They might be telling the truth, in which case who could blame them? All the world's people revel in oral sex. We have to stop asking the question, except the British? We don't do it. Okay, you don't do it. We know why. Nobody takes a bath. Jane Austen didn't take a bath. She wrote her ass off, but she didn't take a bath. Mr. Darcy never took a bath. Disraeli never took a bath. The whole place smelled to high heaven. Whole coach jumped on boats to the New World. They knew something was amiss. Charles Dickens never took a bath until he met Mark Twain, who kidded him so bad about sinking that he took a bath. He hadn't seen his own legs in 15 years. The fucker almost drowned. End of insert. Back to scene 10. One other bizarre thing has to be recounted. Don leaves, he takes his secrets with him. Linda goes home. This is what dreaming is. One thing leads to another thing. Things are not necessarily connected, though sometime prior to or after the accident had happened, he thought he saw Eleanor. She was sitting in the shade at a cafe table. She nodded. We can't go into family histories here. There's no time. But it was a nod in the affirmative, a yes, as if some unsolved social problem from the past comes back. I told you it'd follow me home. Attachments are complicated, right? Millions of years ago, there were rumors. Linda cried. Junior jumped up in the night screaming. Don hears himself saying, Jesus, holy fucking Christ, I didn't do it. And he doesn't even swear. But in those small towns, there is no truth except in belief. GD told me this one. The witch killed his dog. The witch set his house on fire. Opinion blew him up against the wall. Then having suffered enough or having been cleansed, depending on your point of view, he was accepted as a neighbor. He even started speaking English. He could buy a loaf of bread. He could get his shoes shined. End of scene 10. Farther and farther into the interior, shuffled from one shack to another. No hand tying, understand? No blindfolds, no need. What do you escape to? And believe me that more than once the feeling was that strong. But where to? Which direction? See you later, agitator. There are some beans on the stove. Don't eat the mushrooms. Don't drink the water, don't wipe your ass on any plant that happens to be nearby. Do a spot test first, it'll save a lot of aimless running. We'll be back in a while, keep cool. Thanks a lot, Mix. There have never been nights as cold as this. Lizards sleep in their tracks. This must be almost Argentina, a tangle, Berlin, and scene 11 finally. He gets there, pause. He thinks he gets there, pause. I think he gets there, pause. It had to stop someplace. This is like a scene from some old James Bond movie, a Santa's workshop of violence. At this point, you're supposed to see your hands. The idea is to have control. The idea is to distinguish between dreams and waking. The idea is to know they are the same. Personally, I think the idea is shit. About this time, I'm ready for 6 cups of tea, a cigarette, a cup of coffee, drugs, whatever's left over from the night before, the hair of the dog, etc. Take a shower, shave, and sauce. Kiss the wife goodbye. Wash the dishes. Finish up the drugs. Make a few phone calls. Check with my broker.
But he is ahead of himself.
In a shack somewhere, the river is as red as blood. 2 more dreams to go. End of scene 12. The scene is simple. He's in a crowd. Impatience is more than tangible. This is a mob scene. The purpose is not clear yet. What is ominous is the fear and joy mixed. A lot of fear, a lot of joy, a lot of people. He's reminded of the excitement of football crowds of long ago. He's reminded of the growth of mistrust and things behind him. He's reminded that some sensitive people avoid shopping malls. He is reminded of a friend shot down on Broadway. High noon, must have been some other body sheriff. We didn't see nothing, then it's obvious. A man comes forward as if from nowhere. He places himself on a pile of sticks of wood. The guys assigned to tire him are in a state of shock. Some asshole in a fancy suit asks him to recant. Who knows? Recant what? He says, no, God taught me that the world is good and you can stick it up your ass. The fire is lit in the field of flowers. End of scene 13. This is sort of future in the tropics. Detroit science fiction car of the future speeds into the future. Problems of rust all solved. Atlantis lay on the equator, and that's why we don't have it anymore. Nothing lays on the equator long except for terror. Read Velikovsky, read Plato, it says here. Read anybody, it's always there between the lines. Farther north you get more done, farther south you have more fun. I read a book that said dying the Arctic is actually sublime. More than easy, sublime. Of course he never did it. 30 words to describe what we call snow, and they don't know what writhing is. I don't want to live there, of course. I don't like spring floods too much. But what's going on to me as of now is dangerous, and that's because of the Equator Islands of the future gone now. End of scene 14.
After the accident, I had a hard time regaining any sense of myself. The clock stopped, it seemed for one or changed.
Time passed unmeasured, or sometimes measured, sometimes not.
That's more precise to speak about. The uncertainty, the matter of my relationships with people was never certain for another. Moments of clarity interrupted to stress this with an error of tautologic. Add suddenly by a sense of foreignness, and without knowledge of whether foreignness can be graded.
Add of the most extreme kind. Again for stress. That should do it.
One is reminded existentially, whatever that word meant, of course. One is reminded that people complained in the recent past of the same problem. People who had been close to suffering in particular complained of this problem. Moments of clarity, moments of foreignness of the most extreme kind, but not in reassuring patterns alternating.
In pattern on, shadows off. And on off, of course. This is something different. Personally, I would say more interesting.
This is that alternation. I stop. Think succession might be a better word. This is the succession of finalities. Interruption is the essence of change. To know it's coming back, who gives a fuck? Little joke. Thus the uncertainty of the clock working in clarity and stopped in foreignness, or the opposite.
or no connection between the two.
Clarity and foreignness interrupting with finality, time and not time interrupting with finality, in the same body connected in the same way to the accident,
Or not connected.
She speaks to me and I to her.
Maybe you're too old for this.
I know.
Did you hear me?
Yes.
I can see it in a younger man.
I know.
But the danger would be the same.
I know.
And I wouldn't be so fearful.
I know.
And I'm sorry I have to keep saying
I
this.
know.
It's because I care, you know.
I know.
And I don't understand.
Higher than eagles, he wanted to learn to fly.
But why Mexico?
You've asked me that before.
And you have an answer.
I've always answered and told you all I know.
You told me the message.
Higher than eagles, he wanted to learn to fly.
That's code if I ever heard
I
it.
suppose so.
What else could it be?
Maybe there's another form.
I think there's only code and
I
not code.
know.
Then how could there be something else?
Maybe there's something else.
Maybe could be a little less dangerous.
I'm not sure about the danger.
I am.
I know.
She is in the bathroom all this time.
The door is open.
He is at the window.
The window is a picture window.
That word dates this architecture.
They speak as if across a great distance.
As if to be answered later.
The window opens onto south and west.
The mirror in the bathroom faces south
So
and
they are
west.
looking in opposite directions.
Except that for the magic of the mirror.
They are looking in the same direction.
They have tried to solve this puzzle before.
Speaking as if across a great distance.
Facing in opposite directions.
Looking toward the same destination.
A word that comes up frequently in their talk.
Luckily there is the wall between them.
To keep the puzzle unrecognized
So
again.
the scene is ordinary on the surface.
She is in the bathroom,
She faces away from south and west.
seeing what is south and west of the mirror.
He faces directly south and west.
He turns and leaves the room.
She pauses for a moment
Then she finishes.
without apparent urgency.
Some of the lights are still on.
Television on but without sound.
Second key on a veneered
This is
surface.
the way people leave motel rooms.
She speaks to me and I to her.
Don't you think this is unfair to
I
me?
guess so.
In other words, this is all you, more important than us together.
Not more important.
More important if I have no say
What
in
you've
it.
said has changed.
What I've said hasn't made you more
It
cautious.
has made me more cautious.
This is not what I call caution.
It has to be done, and I am cautious.
It doesn't have to be done in the world. We'll go
Well,
on.
then I have to do it.
Thanks a lot.
You were in every thought I had.
We could turn around, go back to the motel
The
path,
chance will be
and
gone forever.
there are chances all over the place.
Not of this kind.
Yes, of this kind, dangerous and
Maybe
stupid.
dangerous, maybe not stupid.
Stupid if the consequences are
The
trivial.
consequences are not trivial for me.
Nor for me, that's what I'm
We're
afraid
talking
of.
about different consequences.
This conversation obscured partly by the sound of the car and partly by the intervals irregular between statements.
She speaks to me and I to her.
There's your contact, good God.
I know.
Jesus, an Indian.
Remember, he's an American.
If he's an American, what are you?
If you mean it that way, I'm a foreigner.
Well, at least you've gotten that idea.
I will be as safe as you are.
If you don't hear about an air disaster, you'll know I'm safe.
I know that you'll be alright.
If the future is that clear, what are you doing
It's
here?
only that clear, that's why I'm
I
here.
return the car and fly home.
And I will meet you at home.
In the meantime, I'll learn to
The
knit.
schedule has been made clear.
I have no reason to believe in any schedule.
I know you think that.
So for me, there is no schedule. Don't
I
forget
have a
that.
schedule and you are part of it.
That kind of wisdom doesn't impress me
There
much.
won't be a way for me to call, you know.
Maybe the pickup truck will need gas
I had to
someplace.
agree not to try to send messages.
Maybe you could ask somebody in on the secret to
I'm
call.
not looking for the answer to
Well,
a
if you
secret.
run into someone who's already there, there's always little me just waiting.
This is hard, I know.
Thanks a lot for
I
understanding.
know you will begin to feel the certainty.
In the meantime, I'll learn to
I
knit.
will be safe and you will be safe.
I don't think I'm here because I wanted safety
I'm
for
here because I
myself.
want it for both
Personally, I
of us.
prefer the short range view
This
of
is only
things.
some time out of a huge
Maybe you
time.
could take up smoking and become a
We are
poet.
already separated in some
So
way.
I've noticed you can't even see me.
I've stopped seeing myself in
Well,
the
good luck,
mirror.
science. Send vibrations if you
I have
need
to go
help.
now. I love you.
Fuck that kind of love. I love you too. Don't drink the water.
Goodbye.
The pickup truck is almost new. The ordinariness is more than I expected. Ordinariness in the extreme is indescribable. I speak to myself and she answers in me. Ordinariness in the extreme is indescribable. You've been reading People magazine too much. The sound of the truck designed to be exciting. Noise is an ideal for places quietness. The effect is mainly architectural. Too much space enclosed makes noise. Every act of driving has noise added. The pickup drives itself, of course. He smokes, he steers. He looks forward, talks about the pickup truck. He likes cassettes better than the radio. He resents adopted accents. He stresses the great space between us. The cassette goes in at more than arm's distance. Space as though captured and hostage. As though kidnapped with the arrogance of kidnapping. As though transported to an unforeseen destination. As though the transporting is the essence. As though a capsule of noise kidnapped. In violation of a larger space of silence. Naturally, the sun is setting. Together now we wait for a meaning. Words accumulated, shared inaccurately. Friction adds inaccuracy is a lesson learned.
Baby's off the magic powders. She don't like a good mood all that much. Nothing getting done for me. Very great hip book, I keep it by my bed. Baby's off the magic powders. She just couldn't get unloaded. Nothing getting done for me. Very great hip book, I keep it by my bed. Baby's off the magic powders. They approved of everything. Nothing getting done for me. Very great hip book, I keep it by my bed. Baby's off the magic powders. Celebs agree, things are fine. Nothing getting done for me. Very great hip book, I keep it by my bed. Baby's off the magic powders. Empty gas pumps going nuclear. Nothing getting done for me. Very great hip book, I keep it by my bed. Baby's off the magic powders. Positive opinion hungers. Nothing getting done for me. Very great hip book, I keep it by my bed. Baby's off the magic powders. Read the sign, eat here, delicious. Nothing getting done for me. Very great hip book, I keep it by my bed.
Chord change, meanwhile back on TV. In between channels I prefer are the pictures to be passed through. Unless I am more careful than my habits will allow. Little brown runts who have never eaten, all curled up about to die. Makes the sign look funny, out of date, it had to come down.
Baby's off the magic powders. Stations fall in disrepair. Nothing getting done for me. Very great hip book, I keep it by my bed. Baby's off the magic powders. Unloading, got to go on. Nothing getting done for me. Very great hip book, I keep it by my bed.
Chord change, meanwhile back on TV. Baby feels a great relief. Goes straight to the in-betweens. Little brown runts who have never eaten, all curled up about to die. Be here for a little while, unloaded disrepair. Be here for a little while, hands between my legs, try to look him in the eye.
Baby's off the magic powders, all the pumps are broken. Nothing getting done for me. Very great hip book, I keep it by my bed. Very great hip book, I keep it by my bed. Etc., 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 etc. Parts of words return and echo, you know.
What the fuck you suppose that means?
What the fuck you suppose that means?
He means he doesn't like things like they are. Goddamn singers never learn. I guess so. Ghost dance. Goddamn singers. Goddamn singers. They were sad. Shut the fuck up. Yeah. Memory fills the cab, along with why it's here with me. The question I've come to answer: if minds be read, who reads them?
Does this man know a joint now, with another color darkening everything? Can he know about the great past unless that you were there, or read about it, or you heard? What about Malcolm, Mr. X, sir? Which is, in parenthesis, all I know, except in reading him written by himself, the ultimate paradox of literature. Everybody knows the end except you, in which if memory serves, there is the idea one can never know a black man's age, or as nearly as in another color. This is true no matter what your color, written for the black reader and for me. Wonder how Mr. X would place this guy in time, except for generalities like thoroughly matured hostility, more weight than youth can carry, clothes that weren't grown into, and so forth, which might be just cultural. Of course, X meant something more subtle. What do I know?
Which is why I'm here, and does this red man?
See, feel, know that Mr. X is here with us, or is this just a courier untrained on purpose?
In order that the source stays hidden. In short, how old this guy? Just told me shut the fuck up and took yeah for an answer. He speaks to me and I to him.
We're gonna pass these rocks soon. Yes, that's one of the reasons. I'm not slowing down, but you can look. What should I look for? You wouldn't know if I told you. I know.
I'm supposed to tell you something. Is it important that I understand? You have to understand the story.
I'll try. Smart answers get a lot of guys in trouble. Try is the only word I know. can tell that. I know. Blood red rocks and sunset 50 miles an hour. Every curve on the downside, no rules here. Certainly I'm too old for this, she's right. A kidnapped space in violation of a larger space. Enhanced by Naugahyde.
Improved by science. That is a drug. Detroit knows a red man. If he came across the straits and down by generations, must have left a taste for we are driven long behind. This guy will never jump to be frozen in time. TV, he likes it big. Imagine his opinion about the oil crisis.
Fucking Oklahoma and the Arabs, fuck 'em. This is getting complicated, and I'm in it. He speaks to me and I don't answer. Every place is special. Assholes like to try to get away. You try to get away as far as possible. Everywhere assholes like you are piling rocks, all lined up with paste made out of little rocks between to hold the lines together. Jesus.
Assholes like you like to live on the top of each other so you can never understand a story unless you were buried up to your neck for a couple of years.
Just to get the feel of it. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Assholes like you and all cars rust. That's the first thing. The earth is not divided. There is no difference between assholes. Assholes are all the same. You don't have that idea.
See this curve? What if I don't turn the wheel? What if we just blast into that rock? You and me side by side. And this piece of shit we're riding in, make a little mark on that rock.
Sheriff comes, he thinks he's Clint Eastwood. Well, Clint, what's the good news? Same old shit, honey. Goddamn Indian and some other guy marked up the rocks. Clint, don't talk that way. The kids might hear. Jesus, there was blood all over the place. You couldn't tell the red meat from the white. Tried to knock the fucking mountain down. Maybe they were just drunk. Just drunk, shit. What if the kids was on that road? Goddamn Indians. Clint lives over the garage, so he can get down to the car fast. He wears his guns to bed. Clint, couldn't we do it without the gun? Without the gun? Are you crazy? It's savage out there, hun. It's just a bunch of fucking savages. You don't have no idea. Clint couldn't go no place without his gun. Clint lives over the garage, so he can get down to the car fast and to satisfy his idea of on top of. He'd live 3 times higher if he could work it out. He'd be willing to break his fucking legs, sliding down the pole. The higher the better. Jesus, I knew a couple of guys they put in the paratroops. Those fools were crazy on fear. They told it like it was a drug. They always made the drinking room up high, 2nd or 3rd floor away from home. Everybody good and drunk, they could try the fear. Somebody yell, last one down, so whatever. They all jump out the fucking windows. They break bones all the time. The officers pretend this is bad business. If we have any more of this behavior, etc. But it's not too secret, they are proud. God, last week 4 of my best men got busted up, jumped off a fucking 4-story building drunk. They'll heal before the war starts though, haha. All around the table, everybody went through it. If you ain't broke a leg, you want a man. Satisfies the on-top idea. Some Indians are the only ones can build bridges.
Because they don't have no idea of falling.
They're crazy for the money.
But for them, everything is earth.
They don't have the idea of down. They are down.
All the time.
One slips and dies, it's like he caught a bad cold. You can make anybody crazy.
What the outside does to satisfy the inside.
The inside is what nobody understands. The inside wants to be on top of. The outside piles of rocks.
That's crazy.
Why are some of the marks so high?
You say, why are they so far off the ground? Do you think it has to do with crazy?
It's crazy to go up so high just to make a mark. So let's do it.
That's wrong.
They are not up high.
Get that idea out of your head.
I could teach you in a minute how that mark was put. It didn't have nothing to do with last one down. It didn't have nothing to do with falling. Where it is what it means. You gotta think about what it means. It doesn't have nothing to do with falling. Nobody ever fell making one of those marks. Are you crazy? Look at the marks right next to the ground. You think that cowards made them and the other ones made the others. You get any help from that? First off, where it is the main meaning. Where it is from where you see it is the main meaning. First off, you have to learn where to see it from. After you learn that, then comes the meaning.
Line of sight after you learn to walk a straight line. Don't expect to learn that part. You're too old.
Maybe you could learn to figure out where to see it from. Maybe not. But the line of sight part you will never understand. I can tell that from the rock piling shit. You will never learn to walk a straight line. You are too old.
I park by the side of the road to think. Well, here comes Clint.
Sleeping it off, little red.
No, officer, I was just looking at marks. Nice time of the day, don't you agree? Look at that light. When you see that light, it's time to read. That's why I'm parked by the side of the road.
Red, we've been through this shit before. Get out of that cab and walk a straight line.
Officer, I could walk around the world and meet you here. I could walk around the world and meet you here, and I miss about 10 feet. You wait here, I'll be right back.
Okay, Red, give me the keys and get in the car. You're gonna sleep this one off on concrete.
After this a few times, you go crazy, you know. Outside has to satisfy inside, sleeping up on concrete. I've seen truck drivers coming to the jail at night, bailing ghost Jesus, Clint.
Yeah, I can. I know what you're gonna say. One of them was sleeping right on the road, right? You couldn't stop. Nobody blames you. Just fill out this form, have a good drink. I'll send out a couple of prisoners to wash the truck.
As though in one long lesson, as though in an uninterrupted series, as though a drama of the state of mind that makes a straight line, the bearings are not such that I have experienced before. I must forsake the notion of bearings, even though they are at work, as though almost tangible, a foreign language spoken without compromise, spoken by a person innocent for whom no language is foreign. That idea is unknown, as though there were a universal language. What's so hard about that? One language that everybody knows. Find it in yourself. Pay attention to yourself. Act only in self-interest. Practice on the language everybody knows. Make any noise you want in private. Practice the universal language. Want to be a poet in the universal language? Nobody's around to make any noise you want. Speak the universal language. Learn to walk a straight line. Check your weapons at the door.
After weeks of this stuff, I donned first class citizen who in first classes never thought to not curse. Who would curse? What is cursing class? To know not that you're not bad, started cursing this discovery that, as the man said, it's the tune. Not the words came as a strange relief.
A kind of speeding up.
Where before
There had been caution.
now there's royal abandon.
Holy Jesus!
Jesus Christ,
Whose blood was shed that
we should
be absolved of all sin.
be redeemed from
Hell is on my lips and almost
every sentence
a simple advertisement.
in the newspaper.
Buried in the personals, but
Obviously for me,
higher than eagles, he wanted to learn to fly. I, John Jr.'s secret,
scientist of
the occult, took it at
face value.
the message I had been waiting for.
I am but one among many existing outside of the establishment of science, but definitely in the business. We are inventors. Money is no problem, no faculty meetings. We just provide what people need, period. An ideal existence of a sort. Our attitudes on government vary with the weather. I drifted over a period of years from material comforts and what they mean to a different interest. More avant-garde, no more aluminum siding, no more linoleum.
I got interested in things of the spirit. It was my intention when this work was begun to make an illustrated tract, so to speak, the difference between etc.
I'm sorry for the short biography, but I wanted you to know who I am. So there has been a gradual deepening in me. Projects have become more long range. I read more and I read better. Then I got interested in looking, reading, thinking, you know, just how you think at night, just before the light goes off, thinking about, for instance, the possibility of secret message. We live in a constant state of premonition, of course. Personally, I always knew this. Everybody does.
Officially, it's treated like a well-kept secret. Nobody cares why, and for good reason. It's too deep, so facetious serves. Everybody has their own. The one I like is
Try to sell a publisher on the idea of a book called Famous Premonitions, and he would say, that's a title like I pissed in the ocean, big deal, and nobody buys the book. The guy that married Bobby Fischer's sister taught me this. Talk about fertile women, she taught Bobby Fischer how to play chess, so she probably taught this guy the idea, so it's probably hers, but never mind. The idea is that if we are to trust mathematics, which is among the best we have as an alternative,
to thought. We have to trust it even when it comes up with something that requires thought to it. Mathematics says that both sides of the equation have to equate. That's the answer.
we are taught by mathematics that an event has to have something out in front in the same shape as the consequences, so you can read it, the event, in either way. The problem is that since we had to give up thinking as too time-consuming and haven't yet got hold of the shortcuts, e.g. time savers in thought, the confirmation of the fact the equation works always mostly comes in another language. Languages don't always match. For instance, since the proof is
Mathematical, which is not spoken. The confirmations say it's anecdotal, which is always spoken, takes too long, so we don't believe it. Don't take headlines like
boy knew his grandmother was about to die. Seriously, I think I said that right. It got so premonitions were the only thing I thought about. This guy, Bobby Fischer's brother-in-law, really put me on the case. I dropped everything, then I saw this in the paper. Higher than eagles, he wanted to learn to fly, and I thought, that one's for me. I grew up with my grandmother who liked to drink, so we had this thing between us, like everybody has with somebody. We like to drink together.
we did this for years and years, get drunk together. She'd be 60 and I'd be 5 and we'd get drunk together. Then we sort of broke up when I had to go to school to learn not to think. We never really picked it up again.
I'd stop in for a quick one now and then, but you know.
Anyway, 20 years went by. I went around the world, etc. And I moved back to headquarters for reasons that I'll never understand. I worked nights at the post office, and I had a terrible disease called tinnitus. My ears rang so fucking loud I would hallucinate. I went to the best ear doctor in the world. He said, in 7 years you will be deaf. Totally, except for dog barks and thunder. Thank God I didn't sleep nights, so that night I wouldn't have slept. 7 years till the test. Blind people take it smiling, ain't that something? When you lose your hearing, there's a test. A lot of people can't take it, that's a fact. They take their life instead. Little joke. So it's not the pathos that I'm worried about, it's that fucking test. Just 7 years.
So I don't have time for Mama, as we called her Christmas, just to hear the jokes, maybe New Year's. So I'm driving home from work one day, and this is 10:30 in the morning, and I'm listening to Big Ben at 10 times fast forward in my head, and I think I ought to go visit Mama for a drink. Quick U-turn like in the movies, put the pedal to the floor, get there, urgency, run in, Mama, oh Jesus.
She is wedged between a cabinet and the stove, looks like a rag doll that's been thrown there. I pick her up, oh Mama, are you alive? And she says, I thought you'd never get here. That was the second big one, Premonitions.
So this guy, this message in the paper, and I thought that's the guy I want to learn from. I called. Naturally, what I had in mind was different. I don't remember what it was, but it was different. Instead, I learned to swear. Fuck, how simple. It's so motherfucking simple, you swear. Instead of talking all the time, you swear. And since foul language fucks the temple, the fucking thing slows down and you start thinking again. Why didn't I think of that? So I'm in this training course to learn to swear, and there's a lot of weird phone calls with swearing, and I wind up in a motel room in Mexico with Linda. She thinks I'm crazy. The fucking cunt thinks I'm crazy, but she goes along with it. We've been through a lot together.
It's like spring training in real football. Nothing personal, but let's forget the star in college shit. Now you're going to learn to play football. Let's try running into things. First, you have to learn to throw your weight way out in front. It's got to be ahead of you, as close to ground as possible. If you don't run into something, you fall down. Like when you run downhill and lose control. But in practice here and in real football, you will almost always run into something equal and opposite. And the result will lift you both up like continents colliding, and the stronger will go forward. That's what you're getting paid to fucking do. Me and some fucking Indian in a pickup truck. And he says, what if I don't turn the fucking wheel? Linda's probably right. I am too old for this. Gradually, I get the idea. Sign up for Premonitions, and I learn to swear. I remember when I had it in my mouth. Finally, he put two fingers in the corners of my mouth with it and stretched my mouth open. Then he pulled my mouth down on it. He pulled my mouth as if he were fitting my mouth to it. He pulled my head down until it touched the back of my throat. I choked. It made my mouth open as if there were nothing between my mouth and my stomach. I felt hollow then. He lifted my head, then he pushed it down again. I remember it was very slow. I got the idea gradually.
Remember, I'm still looking for the man, or the woman as the case may be, going to teach me about premonitions. I have this idea to live in real time. I have this idea to live in pure bliss. Let's not get into churches and shit like that. Architecture has its fascinations, but he gave his blood so that we could be redeemed from sin in real time. Jesus. Fucking governments get in there and want to move rocks around. See, I'm learning. Meantime, 12 stops till the man. 12 times those fucking Indians leave me out there in the desert in a shack alone. Colder than the witches sitting, I don't have shit to think about. I just swear.
I guess you could say she had bad posture. That's the first thing you would have noticed about her. She carried her shoulders badly. It was almost as if she stooped. It was ugly, actually, and she wore those short dresses that were in style then. They were well chosen, I suppose, but not extraordinary. And she seemed to be, because that kind of dress especially made her look bad, a victim of style. She was obviously concerned with being attractive. She said, where would we have gone? Back to the dormitory? Boy, that got me. This would go on for an hour or so, and then I'd swear, holy Jesus, holy fucking Jesus, wake up, Dawn. Good money paid to learn about premonitions, and you just sit here shivering your ass off, making up some goddamn story about the past.
There I was, little boy 14, first job, first bike, standing at the intersection. What's nearby is a huge semi, just rolled over where I would have been, except for the premonition. Always take a book to read. You get tired of jacking off. 2 hours between shifts, so I take a book to read. This day I forgot the book. 400 yards from home, and I remember I forgot the book. Now ordinarily I would just go on, either jack off or sit near the fountain, but today I had to go back. I can feel the feeling even yet. 10 minutes late for work. The fucking boss is screaming at you, or I don't give a shit. I have to go back, get the book, so I'm 10 minutes late exactly, and 10 minutes ago, this fucking semi jackknifed and rolled the intersection where I would have been just waiting for the light to change. The driver is okay, he's out. He's talking to the sheriff or somebody. I've been through here 100 times. There was never no fucking light before. Then I see the fucking light, it's turning red. There's no way anybody could stop, but I think I see this kid on a bicycle waiting for the light to change, and he don't see me, gonna jump out on that light, so I hit the fucking brakes and it jackknifes. I could have just gone through, I was clear. Except for this fucking kid on the bike. Except it must have been in my mind. I'm not kidding. I fell out of there as fast as I can. Late for work's nothing compared to this. Stupid as I am, I get that idea. I am the kid on the bike. Except that I was not there just then. I was not there because of the fucking book. That's what I would call premonition.
That's why I'm here, looking for the man that's going to teach me about the premonitions. Higher than eagles, he wanted to learn to fly. You don't have to be smart to get that. What I don't know is how to do it. What I don't know is how to read it as it comes. I don't know how to read the present. Finally, I get to the main man. After weeks at sea, I don't know where I am. Then weeks in the desert, time stands still. Then finally, I get to the promised man. Wouldn't you know it? He lives in the city. I don't know the name this city has, and frankly, I don't give a shit. We are in some goddamn city, I don't know where. Walking down the street to meet the man. This is not Des Moines, don't get me wrong. This is out west and down south. El Dorado, the guides have changed a dozen times. I never quite get the names straight, but they were different. And this one's taking me to the man. I'm going to get the message. I passed.
Almost. Last minute, there is one more hallucination. I think I see Eleanor. Eleanor's Linda's closest friend. Linda thinks that I fucked Eleanor. Linda doesn't get the idea that Eleanor and I would never fuck once out of desperation. She asked me if we could, this story is hard to interpret, do it together. I said I would think about it. Thinking that sometime, somewhere, it would just happen, simple. I knew that I wouldn't like it. She knew that she wouldn't like it. She knew that we felt the same. People acting in the extreme make you sick at your stomach.
It's always shocking, always, you just can't get over it. That first moment of looking, Pompeii, oh, Jesus, cooked in the act. Then comes the next part, whatever that is. It leaves the body forever, wanders and looking forever, seeking a new soul, oh yeah, seeking a new form of outside, formless and seeking an audience, outnumbering thousands to one, cheering and singing along. Maybe I will be chosen, maybe I will be needed.
That never happens, of course. It does it all by itself. It does it right there in front of you. Does it because you are there. Because you are there, it is done. Are there and it's done. Otherwise, there's no connection. None at all, Tom, Dick, and Harry. None at all, Jane. And that's what we try to remember. That's what we always forget.
Once out of desperation, then she asked me if we could do it together. I said anytime, Eleanor, honey.
She said doodly-doo. I said doodly-doo. Then there was that weird smile.
Boy, that was something to share. Wish I could see that again.
Just one more time to remind me.
Anyway, she went ahead by herself.
She was a visitor. Pause.
Sorry, I got ahead of myself. Actually, I got behind. Weeks at sea and weeks in the desert, and I still have this goddamn problem. I fall out of touch, you know what I mean? She's sitting at a table in the shade at a cheap cafe, like in some goddamn banana mystery. Graham Greene eats shit, money made from murder. Go to this cafe across the street from my apartment building. I'll call you on the phone there when I know that it's about to happen. Then you sit there with the phone in your hand like you are talking to your agent back in Hollywood, and you describe everybody that goes in. Here's the code, etc., etc. There won't be time for adjectives. I will know which one it is. It's come for me. If I don't get out of this one, love, your brother. I have this problem with imagination. It just touches down without warning. Like tornadoes in the high Midwest. You don't see the fucker coming.
It's not like Kansas or Nebraska. Fucking kids out there dressed like sheriffs, driving around with radios and cars. They're all excited. Why not ask for God? Well, Wilbur, they took away the copper for him. This is Morgan County 10-4 out. Anyway, it's not like that. I don't track it. It just pops in, uninvited. You hear the roar. Next thing you know, the barn is gone. That's the problem with my imagination. Here today, gone tomorrow. Where the fuck was I? Oh yeah, going to meet the promised man. Almost cured, I think I see Eleanor. Linda thinks that I fucked Eleanor. Oh God, if she only knew. Well, here we are, Professor. I am where I wanted to be. Higher than eagles, he wanted to learn to fly. Am I ready? Do I have it in me? Already I can hear the cursing coming from somewhere inside. I've gotten to the big leagues of words. I wonder if I can take it on a short hop behind me and then turn and jump and throw and get the guy first. Roars from the crowd. Back in the dugout, one of the guys says, "Dumb shit, you saved them 2 steps. Wake the fuck up, this game's played for money."
This part gets to be a blur. In Hollywood, they'd make it look like Casablanca. Unfortunately, this is the new world, I think. This fucker's never heard of Sidney Greenstreet. He looks sideways when he talks. My knees are shaking. This guy's been up against these mountains for 1,000,000 years. He's not civilized. You heard me, he's not civilized. He's been run over by the people that move rocks. He's been run over by the church. They came out of the sunrise in white ships. waving a white flag and singing Jesus saves. Then when they got that fucking costume off, they started killing all the kids. Welcome, this is the new world. Welcome to it. Take home what you can. Take home El Dorado. Take home an Indian if you want one. We got a lot to spare. Why don't you go, brother? We can get to meet the Queen of Spain. She looks like a runt, but she's a queen. Welcome to the old world, Indian. After you get washed up, we can have dinner. You can tell some stories nobody believes. Then you can sleep in the basement.
So this guy's permanently pissed off. He's born that way and it won't change.
He's got a lot to say if I could understand him.
Mostly sounds like curse words, blasphemy.
Strangely, it matches finely the template
In the air, notice when you shut them up real tight.
And this is years after Big Ben stopped ringing.
I'll tell you how to stop the ringing later.
You can hear the talking, but you can't
understand the words, that's what I mean by template.
This kind of talking fits the template
Exactly, it exactly fits.
So at least I'm home.
What comes next is harder to put in words.
I think I've given the wrong impression.
Cursing in the old world comes in loudness.
Loud means bad. Check it out, music.
But there are other systems, obviously.
It's not too clear and I don't get it yet.
There is cursing and there is silence.
And there's nothing in between.
When the guys get into that kind of cursing, silence is huge as the Andes. Silence is huge as the Amazon. It's too fucking scary to try to understand.
George C. Scott, the general, wants to see you, Private Don Jr., and he's mad.
Private asshole, I got this letter right in my hand. Let me read it to you.
Dear General, these are trying times, as we all know, and God knows you must know better than any of us mortals, etc. Vaguely, I remember a sentence about rabbits, but maybe I'm getting ahead of myself again. I, Private Don Jr., standing at attention, and he is reading this great letter to me. It's a letter to him from my wife and friends. They have made this stupid stony fucker do a command performance right in his office. Now that's communications art. Oh boy. I can remember the last line clearly, and so the worry grows. Yours sincerely, M for music, B for Betty Boop's revenge, S incubated 5 pounds 4 ounces, smiling, lyrics by Chrysostomos, who taught me everything I know, almost.
Private, if I ever get another one like this, I'll boil your fucking skin off.
Yes, sir, I deserve it. That's competition, and I'm out here all by myself trying to learn swearing fucking fast as I can. I'm really trying, I promise. I came here on my research project, research on living completely in the present, and you've caught me fast asleep. I thought I was clear awake. Ah, fuck. And I was dead asleep. So the worry grows, indeed. Boil my skin off. Fuck it. I mean, what am I doing here? We had mountains at home, but this is crazy. Those fucking Andes go where you can't breathe. You can paddle on the Amazon for weeks and never see either side of fucking ocean. Tip toward the equator. Let me out of here.
Tough shit, Private. This is a permanent assignment. You signed up. God have mercy on your soul.
This guy in front of me is cool as a cucumber. I don't mean General Scott. He's gone. We're back to where we got to after Eleanor. I'm about to get the message. This is what I came for. Still, I'm surprised. I'm prepared for one-on-one. You know, you talk and I listen, just like at home. Instead, they talk all at the same time. Those fuckers talk all at the same time. And what happens, of course, is that slowed downness gets lost as a reason to get together. And fastness gets in there, just like the idea of the devil in the church. And everything starts flying then.
But remember, this is not an almost silence. There is a lot of humming and guys talking real fast. I've got to the man, and this is the way it's done. This is the way premonitions come. The reason that you can't understand them is that you are too stupid or you are badly trained, depending on how you think about good breeding. Premonitions are like tornadoes. The other acts of God are important, God knows, but at least we have a little warning. But at least you have a little time to get out. But at least you have a little time for humility. At least you have a little time for prayer. But tornadoes are like jokes, little joke. It goes by fast, it happens once, no explanation. And it's funny, whether you get it or not, a new world joke.
The way to stop your ears from ringing is simple, but take this prescription to your doctor and he'll just laugh. Ha isn't fiction wonderful? Fuck him. He told me I'd be totally deaf in 7 years. He picked 7. It's so biblical, especially when you don't know shit. I don't hold grudges though. It's just that if it weren't for premonitions, I could have done something silly. With Eleanor, I said, you can try anything. I'm not afraid. I mean, I'm not afraid of anything except deafness. I don't know if I can pass the test. What can I do?
He said I'd learn lip reading if I were you. 1, you've got to sleep a lot. Tinnitus and sleeplessness are pals. 2, write your own words, it's your song. 3, go back to sleep, you know what I mean? 4, stop eating meat, drink water. 5, go back to sleep, you know what I mean?
At a certain point you have to blast it out. Get some heavy-duty earphones, 90 dB. Play that music like there's no tomorrow. Never stop, don't take advice, just blast the fucker out. That'll do it, you'll see. 7 years and you're cured, a miracle.
Probably none of them could get indicted for price fixing, that old-fashioned way. Now there are just newer forms of collusion. And if
You're not in the business, you don't see them more. How they work, but the machinery is the same.
the ones that have the most draw a line, and if
You're just below that line, it's too dangerous to stay.
In the game, one mistake, one piece of bad luck, and
You're wiped out now when the nation needs something like food. The line goes down and people are
encouraged to get into the game, I mean,
People who weren't in the game, people are.
encouraged to get in the business and the way they are.
encouraged us through all kinds of money lending, outright guarantees for what is being produced.
and other kinds of support that give the feeling that
The whole industry is working together toward a goal.
Which is to produce as much as possible and
Share what comes from that work according to how much you have been able to put in, how long you've
been in, and how much of you there is, but
At a certain point, it always happens the ones that
have the most decide that they can run the whole deal.
by themselves and so therefore get all the money. The only sharing will be between
the guys that have the most, and
I don't mean that they are known to be
Generous even about that, and that's when the wars.
between the families start, but in the meantime or at that point there is a drastic change in ways.
the business of the industry works. That's what I mean by
Draw a line, those lines don't just evolve.
That idea's bullshit and everybody knows it.
At a certain point, a certain number of them known to each other by reputation, other ways decide to
draw a line, and they draw the fucker overnight almost.
They know that drawing lines is going to mean war.
Between them all, but what the hell? War is fun, eh?
Besides, it gets rid of all this complexity of thinking that goes with the idea of a collective.
Purpose? I mean, it simplifies life, war does.
And baby, when that line is drawn, I mean...
You wake up one morning, there it is, the longer.
You try to hold on, the more suffering you are going to get, just because the whole idea
Of the line is just to get you the fuck out.
of the game, and everybody who isn't on the
Line drawing has got one thing they agree on,
which is to get you the fuck out of the game. And so first thing you've got to realize is that it's you against a lot of guys, every one of which is more than you, or you wouldn't be in the situation to begin with. That's what the silly fucker meant by if you have to ask, you can't afford one. I always thought they ought to have that carved into that stupid mountain with the four guys' heads right across the whole deal.
If it was up to me, I'd carve it across their fucking faces, but that would universally be thought of as rash artistically, which is kind of a crime the way we see art. So if you wanted to stay out of jail and just be remembered as a wise man,
you would carve it down below, like a kind of motto for us all.
If you have to ask, you can't afford one.
Now you've got to understand that this is just one early stage in the life cycle of the industry.
At the even earlier stage, when you want to get as many people involved as is needed to make things work, the exact opposite is true.
Whatever you need, just ask. We're all in this together. We all need the same things in common, and those things can be had if we think about it in the long run.
You can't start a farm without land, and you can't buy seeds without money, and you can't get water
to the plants without paying people to get water to the plants, and you can't harvest what is grown without tools and paying people for the work. And we all know that this is God's earth, and it's due solely to the grace of God that all things grow and come to be.
What we try to do the best we can is take advantage of the precious little time that we have here together.
You know, to make life a little easier for all people.
So whatever you ask, just ask. That gets them every time they get this strange look in their eye.
A religious look. I mean, holy shit, why didn't I think of that? All we've got to do is work together.
And everybody will have, if not as much as they need, as much as anybody else has. And all those bad feelings will just go away, and
we will all smile at each other at what we've accomplished together. Sign me up.
Have you ever thought about why your uncle, who was so admired in the town and was such a great success in being a human being, wasn't president? No, shit, no. You thought about stupid things like how does the plow overcome the friction of the earth? Nobody
knows the answer to that except in words, which are used every place except when you are behind the plow. And it is actually most people on earth now don't want to ride in airplanes because you can't understand how it can fly. You can believe the words when somebody tells you on the ground, but
you can't get nobody to talk their way through what's going on when the plane is up there. It's like music or plowing or talking itself. When you were doing it, you can't think about how you do it, or it just stops. And you can see this in kids when they are little. Everything is in a
perceptual reality which we share in common, but we don't want it to stay that way. Otherwise, we would all be his children, and no one would know that there is any other purpose except the collective one.
So we have to train them in as many word routines as we can jam into them before the chemistry changes, and they start putting those routines together in some haphazard fucking fashion that will give them maybe what is called a personality when you have done as much as you can.
You have given them what I would call a destiny.
Man is created in the image of God, you know. That's the way it's said, but what it means.
If you say it in a different way, as man and woman doesn't know stuff shit about God, and so...
If you don't know stuff shit about something,
In particular, you are like you are trying to think about God, knowing something, and get
God to answer in some way. We all know that if anybody created any way at all, can't answer any question at all, then they don't know shit about anything. It is so fucking simple. There is a potential every minute, except in China, where the average is about every half minute. So the reason that your uncle's not president is the simple fucking reason that nobody ever told him to be president. You could teach a fucking baboon to be president, it's done all the time. And what we can't get past is the memory of the time when we were as children, and there was something that we shared in common.
and everything was just great. The sun shined, the grass grew, the dogs barked, and so forth. And we keep trying to put words together in a new way so as to keep the change of chemistry as subtle and its effect as gradual, as imperceptible, as drawn out as possible, even up to ideally
The moment of our death, I mean, who the fuck cares that a plane will fly or that a plow will turn over Earth? And who the fuck cares if you get to see a picture of baboon on the moon? Nobody.
That's the answer. In the strength of life, most people pretend they care, mainly because the sun comes up, the mind gets overheated, everybody gets confused.
Everybody's drunk on some goddamn thing or other.
Just wanders around trying to make sense of things, which is the same as saying trying to remember word patterns that you learned before you knew them.
Because they are buried so deep, you feel that they must have a meaning, but at the start of life,
and at the end of life, and a lot of times in the middle of the night when the muscles are resting from rehearsing and reshuffling all those patterns.
nobody gives a fuck that a plane will fly, big fucking deal, or that a plow will turn over Earth, big deal, or that you can see a picture of a baboon on the moon. The words don't have no meaning, they are just a uniform you put on to get you in a certain line of work. They don't have no fucking meaning at all. We're created in the image of the state of confusion, of thinking about something that does not have no fucking meaning, because no arrangement of the words is ever gonna make it work. It's funny that it's so much of what we do to give the signs, you know what I mean? Everybody just waiting it out, just scared shit. Then every once in a while, everybody gets the idea all together, and then they see the sign in somebody, and they wait. They're just waiting to see if there's a breakthrough. But usually the guy dies, or else we kill him, probably the same thing. Then everybody raises a fist to God and says, this is shit. I mean, everybody gets mad because they thought there was going to be a breakthrough in the relationship among things. Everybody says together, listen, asshole, this is getting tiresome. We cooperate. You don't cooperate. The fucking Pope calls a meeting because there are too many Polish jokes. People say to each other on the sly. How can you tell for sure when lawyers are lying? And the answer is, you can tell it because their lips are moving. Everybody God is mad because you didn't get the idea, didn't get it. You didn't get the idea that every time one of us dies, you die in us and start again from scratch. No wonder everything's so fucked up, because nothing in us is taking care of things. When people raise a fist to God, it means they're mad. It means the whole fucking thing's got screwed up just one more time. I am dumbstruck. I came all this way for this? What about the magic and the premonitions? This guy talks just like I do, could be me. He talks just like everybody else does before they wake up. He's getting close to stream of consciousness. Too much, Carlos, Carl said. He laughs. You can always tell when they got you. Their vocabulary takes over yours. It starts as an idea. Hypothesis among scientists, pretending they speak Greek. Watching shadows move and that stuff. Ironic about the Inquisition. The Inquisitors knew what they were up to. Not exactly friendly neighbors, but then they saw it in the language. Sit around and watch shadows move. Say Eureka when it's proven. Meanwhile, the words change on the way to Eureka. Little joke. Sunset on the left. New world on the right. 60 miles an hour. Percentages of lawlessness allowed. a kind of daydreaming. While the words change their meaning in the shadows, so to speak. First thing you know, it's theory, right till proven wrong. In other words, magic to the inquisitors. Not exactly friendly neighbors, but they saw it coming. The words change their meaning, and you're hooked. Too much Carlos, Carl said. Last time it was Viennese. Sugar, chocolate, heavy cream, raw meat, cocaine, caffeine, and nicotine eventually produced the theory to explain why we don't sleep well. Holy Jesus, everybody say. Eat all that shit, no wonder you don't sleep. No, it's in the words, they say. The reason you don't sleep is in the words. Okay, if you say so, doctor. Looks like an industry to me, but you're the boss. I read it all. Why? The doctor thought that I was going deaf. I had to agree with the inquisitors, else I would be deaf by now, for sure. But Carlos got me dead asleep. Ralph Waldo Emerson as low rider. Carl just laughs. He got you. Except for TV, he would have gotten everybody. You didn't have TV, so he got you. It could have been another Christianity. It just came 50 years too late. No wonder you've got visitors. It follows you home at night, alright. It stalks around the bedroom, bumping into furniture. It makes the chills go up and down your spine. You should have listened to the Inquisitor. Give me that old-time religion. Now, you've really got a problem. You can't tell dreams from waking. You think they think you've reached Azteca. You think you just got a lecture, blasphemy and scary words to teach you something. Just a little research, Linda. I'll be right back. And that was just the intro. Now comes the main one. Now you're gonna get it. You're gonna say I came all that way for this. This is all there is? It's quite a question. A lot of people gone down asking that question. This is all there is. Higher than eagles, he wanted to learn to fly. Sign me up, I'll be right back, Linda. 3 lectures from the underground. The main one's still to come. Just time enough until the sky gets light. To learn to persuade. To learn that to not have is suffering. To learn materialism as transcendent. If you've gotta ask, you can't afford one. If you've gotta ask, you know the answer. Finally, the singular man appears. This is what I came for. Ordinariness in the extreme is indescribable. I wonder how old this guy is.
I like the kids too. It's always nice to see kids in training, the soft eyes and the guns. I've seen these kids before. They gather silence.
Here it comes. Hope I understand. In order that the people can get down from trees, they need a plan. In order to have a plan, they need a version, a performance. My mind is full of doubt. They need agriculture. To have the idea of agriculture, they need the idea of flatness. To have the idea of flatness, they need the idea of containment, the idea of gravity. If your mind can understand the idea of the room, the city, it's too late for you. People who make cities are doomed to moving rocks to struggle. Rocks do not get up and dance around for people who make cities. For people who make cities, rocks appear to be dead. The idea of agriculture is not to feed the people. The idea of agriculture is improvement. Flatness as a solution to the problem of gravity, confused with the idea of feeding the people, is something we have to live with. Our motto is in entertainment, what goes up must come down. The rocks have stopped dancing. But let's go on.
Agreed.
Later there will be time enough to talk about agriculture and to try to clear things up.
Agreed.
Let's go on to the message.
Agreed.
The message is...
Agreed.
They are armed!
Agreed.
It was inevitable!
Agreed.
I mean, it was inevitable that it should spread among us to the children! It was inevitable, 1, that it will seen, and 2, that it will spread! It will spread until we recognize it in the babies! It is the idea we live with! Note, it is the flow, not the water. It is agriculture. It is flatness, gravity, containment, the needs of the people.
True enough.
And the idea of the beyond.
True enough.
We have given ourselves the idea of beyond.
Among horizons signifying the idea of the beyond, there are, for instance, the city, the Indians along the ridge, the gargoyles, etc. The guardians of up are always lifeless, made of stone. They are known to disapprove.
The guardians of up, using agriculture as a without which, have established in us the fundamental rule to go around. That is, to skirt. We are enjoined to skirt by the children who are armed. They are our protectors. They protect us from ourselves. There was a blinding whiteness that covered everything. It was all I could do to stay awake. I was beyond thoughts of family and home. It had become biological. Me against the whiteness. The path had disappeared. How could I trust them that I would skirt? How could I trust them that I would not trespass?
Me against the children.
Look at this bank and the people in it.
So right.
Look closely.
So right.
The contours of the land are the contours of my little mind. The straight paths are gone. The Bible camps, the trailer camps, the army camps are mere figures of speech. Habits to conceal from us the true nature of geometry, which is model agriculture.
So right. The questions of geometry are answered in agriculture and in the banks. There is no excuse that anyone can see for banks. Why have something that only makes things harder? The bank is not a safe place if you have things of value. The bank is not a camp. The bank is geometry, a lesson. The bank is agriculture, our plan.
We need a place to feel the feelings we feel in the bank. Better there than at home.
I'd say.
For one, you feel so ill-kept there. 2, it owns the water.
I'd say.
3, there is the outward thrust of the ostentatious space, a field unplanted. And the corners.
I'd say.
There is one entrance only.
I'd say.
The laws of fire do not apply to banks. Among the different degrees of deadness found in rocks, deadest are the rocks from which we build our banks. A vibrant bank is no bank at all. There is no wind in the bank.
Well said.
Nor speed.
Well said.
Nor velocity.
Well said.
There is only alignment.
Well said.
What could be simpler?
Well said.
Thank you.